This is a video about Southern California print revival. This is really about the Los Angeles print shops and workshops that were fueled by the 60s up till today. So during during the early 20th century, the major art was very Eurocentric. And during World War II, a lot of intellectuals fleeing Europe came to New York. And in the 1950s and 60s, that's where the art world was located. It's kind of like how the difference of New York and the West Coast is. New York was basically the arts central. And I guess Los Angeles had its booming industry for film. It had a big industry for technology. It had great weather and a lot of open space. And a lot of things were going on in the 60s. And art businesses like museums and galleries and publishers, publishing houses, kind of came and went. And I'll just go over a couple things. So that was about the climate of the LA scene. And so some of the major players or major influencers are museums like the Pasadena Art Museum, which is no longer around. Cirrus Gallery, also no longer around, who put up Andy Warhol's first major show. A lot of what the Pasadena Art Museum had done was sort of supported local artists, and they had been open since 1950s until the 70s. They supported a lot of avant-garde artists, the local artists of the day. They supported the graphic arts, like printmaking, and held the first printmaking festival in 1958. So their art community was diverse, and it held the conversation, and it was a major fuel of art conversation, and it kind of fueled the excitement of what was happening in Los Angeles. So one of the places that are no longer here is Ferris Gallery, which you might know. Andy Warhol's pop imagery. So they had gave him an opportunity to show his work, and he's known for his pop culture imagery, or images of everyday objects. So here's another one. So he uses screen printing to print basically everyday objects like the soup can, and kind of enhances it because of the use of repetition and variations of the screen printing process. So it kind of emphasizes the industrial qualities, because printmaking is, or used to be, a very industrial process. Here's another one of his work. Sort of multiples again, but printed boxes of Brillo soap. Again, here's like some more of his pop imagery, but here's celebrity icons, and you might know this famous imagery, but he kind of enhances the mechanical or commercial portion of the pop with the printmaking, screen printing technique. This is all going on in the 60s. This is just one of the artists that you would know. So here's another one that kind of enhances the idea of a serial work, or a work that is made with variations here with different colors. and just kind of emphasizing that the art world was a little bit small, or at least like what you know today is based off of some of the artists that were going on, kind of running around, coming to Los Angeles, or you know, or from Los Angeles themselves. So some of them, like I was saying, New York was the center of the art world, and it's kind of like a little bit of a limited or restricted art world, right? So Los Angeles had this kind of culture that was emphasized, or is very glamorous because of Hollywood. So and the opportunities here were a little more open. So here's another photo. This is in front of Cirrus Gallery with a lot of these well-known artists now. You may not recognize some of these, but this was taken from the 50s or 60s, but basically all of these artists are very well known and established. So at that time, you know, they're just trying to make it, or they're just kind of floating around or doing their thing. So also in that time period, since a lot of the culture or what was happening after World War II was a lot of the GIs. There was a GI Bill that sent a lot of soldiers back to school. So there's a lot of things happening that was in Los Angeles that emphasized or kind of helps accelerate or accelerate the, you know, the community art dialogue between artists and the institution and the museum and galleries. So I mentioned Tamarind, which was in LA, started by June Wayne. She had held a program to train people in the dying art of lithography. So a lot of these artists and printers who went through the print shop opened their own publishing houses, and also went to work at schools all around the country. So some of these people who opened up their own shop, or educated people who then opened up their own shop or became artists in print, or opened up their own businesses in the arts, are still kind of seen today. And so this little talk is just kind of gonna go over some of the major things that were happening in the 60s through the 80s and till today. So this is again Tamarind, who focuses on lithography. So I have here pictured the lithographic stones. They're limestone. They're these flat kind of sheets of stone that you see on the right, labeled with the size. And this is based off of a chemical process where water repels ink. And so like the ink is drawn with an oily substance and it's processed. And so when you're inking up with an oily ink onto a very, like a dampened stone, the areas that are damp won't receive any ink because it's just going to repel. So this is a planographic technique, but not taught in our introductory class. But this is one of the techniques that El Nopal Press uses, but in a modern way and with modern materials. So the old way of doing lithography is by these stones, and litho means stone. And another print shop that is actually one of the major print shops working today. It was started by someone who went to Tamarind. So Ken Tyler was the one who kind of collaborated with two collectors who had money, and they started this collaboration into inviting big name artists to do work. So they'll invite them over and just say, let's do. They'll invite them over, have them stay as long as they want. Basically, just ask them what they want to do, and they don't say no. So often these artists are called blue chip artists, and this is a name that's kind of derived from the stock market. So these are artists who do very well. So that's why they're called blue chip artists. Here's another one of Gemini's print shop, and they're known for like their innovation in printing techniques, like their use of technology to make like very technical prints, very precise, and you see here very large scale work. So what you see here is a large stone. Maybe it looks like maybe 7 feet long. It's going to go on the press bed on the right, or it's getting taken off. Here's another one of another photo of kind of the work that they kind of make right now. So here is pictured the artist Richard Serra. He does sculpture, and he does work with Gemini to create these large scale prints that are kind of monolithic like his sculptures. And here he's holding a print of his that's basically taller than himself. Here's another one of Richard Serra's prints of an etching. So you could see two printers pulling a print off of a copper plate that's coming off of the press right there. Another one of Gemini's artists. So since they started in the 60s, artists kind of go away, and they're inviting new big name artists. And here's Julie Meritu working on a large piece of copper, just like larger than her. And here's an example of one of her prints that they're similar to her paintings. So one of the differences of commercial and fine art publication is fine art publications, they work in collaboration with artists. So as you see here, like you have the artists actually directly working onto the plates to make original work. Then commercial printing usually has they're reproducing images that are already created. So sometimes they're reproducing an artwork that's like a painting or a drawing that already exists. And sometimes commercial print shops also may reprint old plates for sale. So they're not really original prints. So after they're dead, they're not signed by the artist. So they're just reprinting the image for sale. And another commercial way of printing is you see posters, right? And or screen printing without additions, or printing things without an edition number, or it's not signed. Some of that printed matter is called ephemera. So that is meant to be like a throwaway, like advertising or trading cards, bookmarks, greeting cards, just things that are, and tickets or zines, something throwaway. But sometimes these ephemera are collectible, but they're not meant to be kept. So that is basically the difference between a commercial printing and fine art publication houses. Another place that's still around is Cirrus Gallery. So they've been open since 1970, but a lot of this movement to be a lot of movement for publishers and the art profession or art field kind of opened and closed, and this is one that's still around, that they're located downtown, but they're mostly doing screen print and lithography, and they also publish like established and emerging artists. So emerging artists means like they're working, they're kind of getting more well known. It's like maybe possibly someone collectors might want to purchase because it's safe. It's almost like stock. So you sometimes collectors who have money want to put their money somewhere, and so they'll purchase some art that is made by someone well known, like a blue chip artist, so they know that their money is somewhere and it will maybe stay at the same price or increase in price. And here is Jean Malon in front of one of the artists who's also within that 1960s crowd who does pop, but pop with words. So I have here imagery that's from him from the 60s. So he kind of had his own language of pop, but with the Los Angeles landscape. And so, like Los Angeles atmosphere or the colors of the sunset. So the colors were something that attracted artists to come here. And here's another one of his work that he uses words and texts, and his work with pop imagery is derived from kind of like a little bit of a kitsch. I'm making fun of things like that, but you can see that it's very Los Angeles, and just wanted to tie that in with the pop. Another pop artist is Mary Karina Kent. So Sister Maria Currenta, I'm sorry, was an educator and an artist. So she taught printmaking to the school, and her work really was political. So her work reflected her concerns about poverty, racism, and war. And her message of peace and social justice continue to resonate today. So it's kind of amazing to see then some of her work. So this is Sister Corinna Kent's print. It's a political work. I mean, she's not really well known, but she's gaining more. She's getting more acknowledgement as time goes by of her influence on pop art, and and a lot of people that she has taught. Here is a picture of her work in front of in her studio at the Immaculate Heart community in Los Angeles. And another place that has a lot of is significant as a community center and educational center is Self-Help Graphics. This is in East LA. They're dedicated to production of art with local artists and promoting educational programs for community outreach. They also exhibit and publish works with artists and have a teaching sort of residency with artists who want to learn how to make art. So usually the self-help graphics really supports the community, the local community, just like kind of Sister Karina Kent works in her community. And another significant print workshop is Mixographia. So this is also downtown Los Angeles, and they have this innovative in-house paper making setup. So they create their own paper pulp and make sculptural prints, which is pretty amazing. Louis Rembra was the owner of the fine art lithography studio in Taller de Grafica Mexicana in Mexico City. So he approached Rufino Tamayo, who was a well-known artist and printmaker in Mexico, and the only way he could get him to agree was if the studio would help him make textured prints. So you could see here that he's standing in front of a textured, or a sort of a silhouette of a profile, but basically there's these colored paper pulp that are poured, just like how you make paper, where you have the paper pulp pulled up from a mesh and you have the form of the paper. So they created special kind of like molds to create this sculptural paper into the printmaking process. So they're really known for their unique printmaking techniques. So they called this Mixographia, this technique, and later on they renamed their print shop as Mixographia. And another major workshop is Modern Multiples. So they work with the community of like street artists. So you could see here a little bit of a sample of their work. And the one on the right is Shepard Fairey's Obey print, or A print that he's signing. Jacob Samuel, he is associated with UCLA. He publishes art or art collaborations with just selected artists. So he'll go around and invite people, or whoever he invites, he would go to their studio and bring the print shop to them. So basically whatever he could fill in a suitcase is what he would bring. So the twist is that he actually brings the studio to their place in the comfort of their space. So his way of collaboration is very interesting and very unique. And I don't think he does any more work, but he is still located in Los Angeles and still has a website up to display the work, or maybe also for sale. So I just wanted to just share these kind of different styles of print shops and workshops that are still currently going on today. So there's also a lot of, and these are the major print shops that are in Los Angeles, but there's a lot of independent publishers. And in the time of DIY, do-it-yourself kind of time period and social media, so many people are doing like small scale work, kind of independent printing, and sort of unique artists books and zines. And I mean, there are hundreds that go to that attend the LA Book Fair. It's like an annual book fair held at the Museum of Contemporary Art at the Geffen, which is in Little Tokyo, downtown Los Angeles. So there are a lot of people who show at this book fair event. Mostly it's with artist books, but they have a variety of independent artists and vendors who don't only just do books. They also do variations of prints and limited edition things. So I just wanted to extend that out to the idea of the prints that printmaking, print shops that kind of blew up and is getting really rolling today with these independent makers